What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to a very special episode of The Climb. It's live! We're live! Hooray!
Woo!
Joining me this week are two very special guests, Mid Too Easy and Never
Yo,
Saw.
yo.
Hello.
We have these two special players coming on this week. Unfortunately, Array, Venom, and Brissy were all busy this week, so we got two special guests this week. It's like the first season of The Climb. But that's all right. I'm glad to have these two gentlemen and ma'am on The Climb. So let's get to know these people real quick. So let's start with Too Easy. So um, how did you get to know Summit Esports? Because this is your second year. Um, we haven't known you a whole lot. You were on uh, the academy, and this year you are on a very successful team, the Cyberbullies.
Yeah, so I was in an org called Con Esports, and our good friend PPP or Lesric just did some advertisement for a draft league, and I was like, fuck it, I love draft leagues, why not? So I gave it a shot, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. And Never Saw that. The same question going over to you. How did you get to know the league, and how did you join?
So actually, it's kind of funny because it is the exact same reason as Too Easy over here. I was over in the con server, and our good old Triple P put the link for the draft league, and it was an uncapped thing. I played in Risen Draft League before, but I'm too high elo to play in that now, so they don't let me play.
Oh,
And I saw uncapped, and I was like. And I think the whole like auction thing, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, and I went to go try it. So that's how I ended
oh,
up
okay.
here.
Yeah, this is technically the second or third season that we've officially done the auction system, and I think this season we actually got it correct. It's still like kind of an auction system, but with the snake draft. So I think it's actually pretty cool of how we did it this season. So I'm very happy. Gamer D did an incredibly great job doing blah, blah, blah. Brain um, thinking of that. I know, that's what I said. Snake draft with auction because like you had to draft specific players from set individual or like set ranks. Anyways, let's move on
Yep.
because production's yelling in my ear. So let's talk about the teams. So this episode, we're just gonna really just talk about the teams, what we think we could do to improve them. Um, However, some of these teams we're not going to be able to talk a whole lot about because they're winning, so they have the recipe for success. So let's start off with possibly the best team here, Cyber Bullies, Pool A, Seed One, actually technically Seed Two, unless for some reason they throw the Code Cryptid series, which too easy. You're not planning on throwing it, right?
You do a bit of trolling.
We're, hey, listen. As long as you win one game, you've locked first. So just win one game and then just troll. All right, I don't care as long as you win one game.
You do a bit of trolling.
We do a bit of trolling. Okay, that's what Mituzi's take is here. But honestly, for me, Too Easy Briz just carrying the team extremely well. OT Gator, I mean, having a really good jungle season so far. I think the thing about OT Gator is the 2 seasons he has been here is he's kind of been on struggling teams and then he joins another team mid like halfway through the season and then brings them all the way to like second or fourth seed uh or fourth place in the whole tournament. So claps to him. But I think this time he's on a team very successful. And then finally Loon and Soap holding it down in the bot lane. Um, Bot lane weak side, but Loon has been playing out of his mind. So really good support. Before we hear Mid Too Easy's thoughts on his team, Never Saw. Let's hear your thoughts.
Well, I do have the experience of directly playing against cyberbullies. I would say overall, like, just a very good team, like across the board completely. I think there's like when you look at it, there isn't really a spot where I'm like, this player is just like clearly, something's a bit off with that, and it's not quite working with the team. Like their bot lane does exactly what they need for the team with correct me if I'm wrong, is it a tier 4 and 5 bot lane?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tier 4
So like
AD
you
carry, tier
have
5
tier 4
support.
5 bot lane and their entire job is just kind of to hold down the fort, and occasionally they can get an opportunity to shine, but that is what it is when like you have both your low tier players down there. So I think they're doing an amazing job at that. And then
Mhm.
top side, I mean, when I saw Mid to Easy and Briz on the same team, I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be a season. Very like two incredibly strong solo laners, Mid to Easy being one of the people, obviously that like there was a whole thing between me and him last season for a reason. Um,
Mhm.
and Briz, I know him from one of the other draft leagues I played in, and he's just a pretty solid player overall. And I forget who do you have in the jungle again? I'm
Gator.
OT Gator.
OT Gator. Yeah, there you go. There's another just good player. I got to play with him in another tournament for a league. Um, and he was doing quite well the whole way through, replaced our jungler to win us the whole thing, and just overall a really, really good team. It's not really anything like bad to say about it. Carry threats everywhere. Bot lane holds the fort down.
Mhm.
Scary.
I'm recording right now. Sorry. And yeah, too easy. Let's hear your thoughts on your stuff on your team. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Briz is, we'll just go like top to bottom, right? Like, Briz is good buddy of mine. We've been good friends for 10 years now. Longest online friend I have, second longest online friend I have, right? Really good. He used to play top main, but he transitioned to mid main and was like, "Hey, we can flex solo lanes, buddy." And then we're not flexing solo lanes. He's jailed at top.
Oh, damn.
Womp womp.
And like tier 3, I was expecting to grab a support in tier 3, but Game Redeem made like some announcement like day before draft. Where it's like, "Hey guys, if just letting you know, like Gator has a bit of a history. Any issues, let me know." And I'm like, I'm changing my draft plan. Gator's gonna fall to me because of that announcement. He's gonna fall to me because of that announcement. And sure enough, and and then I just grabbed Soap, who's off roll, and Lloyton's obviously really solid as well.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, let's move on to our next team, the Gauntlet, C or Pool B Seed One. Um, I don't have a whole lot for this team because I haven't really seen a whole lot of their games, but I do have Heiko and Sai, incredible, strongest bot lane probably this season. Really good support by Sai. Heiko is just able to do anything because Sai is enabling him incredibly well. Setup has expanded his champ pool. We got to see a lot more picks recently, which I'm very happy with. I'm glad he's expanding his champion pool. He probably could play them, but historically, we've seen him play more of like the control mage style. So I'm glad to see him playing some different picks there. My hot daddy, I mean, just holding it down in the jungle, just being a pillar for this team. And then finally, KipKat, being a topside top weak side king, and is doing incredibly well for the opponents he's going against. So I got to give him credit. And this time we'll start with Mitsuizi.
Yeah, I think that team looks just really, really scary with their bot lane. They like very good support and just a super aggressive AD carry, and they kind of just take over. And yeah, setup, I believe, right? Is their mid looked really good in
Yeah.
team fights and whatnot. Um, and KipKat's kind of just been on like weak side tank duty. Good luck, buddy. Right?
Hey, Orn, that's all you need.
And I
All you need.
don't really know what their jungler's been doing. I don't think it really matters, to be honest.
He's just kind of just been
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
He's like I said, he's kind of like a support pillar. Like he'll play, tanks. He has the nocturne, which is just annoying as general. But like he'll play tanks, Amumu, Lilia, Briz. Sorry, too easy. Just came to mind first. So sorry. But yeah, let's hear your thoughts. Never saw.
I would say I don't really know too much about their top side. I think from what I've seen, like setup has been performing pretty well, just overall pretty stable. And the remaining two players, My Hot Daddy and is it Kip Cat? Is that
Yep,
correct?
we get.
Kip Cat. They both seem to be doing just fine, which I mean that's sometimes it can be difficult for that with some like lower tier players. It could be a struggle sometimes, and that can really like mess up a team. And so like I just have respect for any of the tier like lower tier players who are just like they're just doing their thing, and it's like that's at the minimum like that's what you really want out of it. And
Mhm.
past that, their bot lane is I don't know how you beat that. Being completely honest, it's like the opposite of Mid to Easy's team. They have the tier 1 and 2 players in the bot lane. I spent a whole season, my first season last season, with Heiko. Very aggressive player, very strong player. And that time we had one of the lower ranked players in the league, or at least
Mm.
I think our lowest ranked when we picked him up in Saucy Chos. And even with that, like they were just absolutely killing it in the bot lane. And this time Heiko has the best support in the league. So I expect these two to just thoroughly dismantle anything they run into. I, for one, pray
Mhm.
I do not have to run into that because, oh God, that is not going to be pretty.
Honestly, I'm pretty surprised that so Heiko actually got last pick in the tier two section. So, and I think he was scared he wasn't going to get picked because of how many diamonds were in the tier two pool. So, but with that, let's move on to our next team, Dognatas. So let's talk about the big thing first. So round one, they don't have to worry about anything, but round two, um, Dog does not have Asian Jason. So with that in mind, this do we think this Dognatas is going to look a whole lot different? Because Asian Jason is a very powerful voice for the side of Dognatas. They are playing PTS. I got it right. We'll see how they kind of match up with them. And we'll talk about a little bit more about PTS here in a bit. But with that, I mean, Hamea and Loco Poco, can they really step up to these roles? I mean, we saw them, Hamea play uh, Cyber Bullies. Sorry, I'm spacing on teams. And just got demolished by Mid Too Easy. But we'll see. Loco Poco had a really good showing last week, and then Nico, is he going to be able to solo lead this team? That's kind of those are my couple questions for uh, for the Dognatas. So let's send it over to Neversaw.
Oh, before that, it's is Jason actually out? I'm seeing somebody mentioning that.
I heard that they're gonna
Um,
try to reschedule.
uh, to my understanding, Asian Jason is going to be gone for semifinals and quarterfinals.
We
Yeah,
got
I think
seen
the
some stuff
default.
from that.
I think the default date he's unavailable for, but there's like a 5-day window on both sides that they could
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
reschedule to, and as long as teams are accommodating for that, I'm pretty sure they're fine.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, that's what I've heard, so I don't know, but uh,
All right.
Never saw your thoughts.
Yeah, I will. I would say with the fact that if Jason is still here, this team, like overall, very formidable threats, kind of across the board. I think without Jason, I believe they didn't have Jason for when they faced Cyber Bullies, and it kind of really showed just like the picks that he plays, and he has a very loud and commanding voice in the games, very assertive. So without that, it would be very hard. But if he is there, this team kind of just has good parts around the board, and honestly, the biggest surprise is actually the top laner with Loco, I believe.
Okay, Jason apparently
Okay.
will be available for all
All
of
right, cool.
playouts.
We'll go ahead with that knowledge then. Their top laner. I'm gonna say this now. Ban Kennen. Don't ego that. This person's good at Kennen. Do not ego the Kennen thinking that you are better. Looking at you, Briz. Um, But yeah, overall, really solid stuff there. And Hameo, I'm
Yeah.
probably butchering that. I'm sorry, but um, they had some really interesting picks and overall performed pretty well with a wide variety of like different things. I think we saw like a Zed when we played them the other day. Um, just overall solid stuff there. And obviously, of course, you have Nico in the bot lane with I believe Zaka's his support. Nico, arguably like best ADC in the league, one of the best no matter what. And just an overall very stable player, which is overall really good when you have a player like Jason on your team to know that your ADC is not a complete psychopath and will, do their job.
Yeah, for sure. And Too Easy, your thoughts on? Honestly, I would say your rivals.
Yeah, I think they're just a solid team. They don't have. They're kind of built similar to us, honestly, almost like piece for piece, except obviously, I'd say Nico fills like a similar role to Leuten, even though he's a higher tier player.
Mm.
I think that they have a bit more glaring of a weakness than us, but I think they're a really good team though, regardless. They've got like everyone on that team can carry.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. Keep it short and sweet. So with that, let's move on to our next team. Seed number 2 for Pool B, Conflict of Interest. I mean, Nightmare having a really good season so far. Coming back, took a extended break and now is coming back in a different role, playing into the jungle, playing incredibly well. Tubby, I don't know if he's going to continue to be skinny. We'll see. But I'm excited to see what Tubby's gonna pull out here in the next couple games for playoffs. Pyrosis, I don't have a whole lot on Pyrosis. It's just because like he's just kind of there. He's leading his team in an effective manner. Um, you know, making drafts and everything like that. He's a very calculated person. I have played with him before with Solpan, and those two had the ability to come up with crazy drafts and predict drafts before they even started. So he's doing an incredible job and doing his job in the games as well. And then finally, the best weak side bot lane, Strand and Gamer D. I think this team, this bot lane, somehow will barely lose or go even, and their team just wins the game somehow. So I'll give a shout out to Strand and Gamer D, the commissioner and one of the co-owners. So let's start with Mid Too Easy.
I really like this team, honestly. They're probably my favorite team to watch, and like they're a team that they're greater than the sum of their holes, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't think they've got any like standout players, but their communication is nice. They work well together. Their team fighting seems really good. Uh, if I were to like say there's like a weakness on the team, it would maybe be like Pyrosis' laning phase, because Jesus Christ. But like Tubby is having a phenomenal season, and Nightmare is just kind of smurfing every game. Yeah, the team's great.
Yeah, never saw.
I admittedly haven't really watched this team very much. I think I watched like one series at the beginning, but I do know all of these players. Pyrosis, just a solid player overall, has flaws, has strengths. Just a consistent rock in the top lane with some I think I saw some pretty wacky picks being played, but overall just good. Tubby surprisingly like having very good performances in the mid lane. Strand and Gamer D. I haven't really seen their weak side capabilities, but I did see both of them last season. I believe they were on separate teams, yeah.
Yep.
But both these names are familiar. Both just solid players for their tier and just pretty good overall. And Nightmare is the one player that I do have info on. I played with him in another draft league for a little while.
if anyone's wondering, yes, we are looking at chat while we're talking. So we see you all talking trash about us, specifically Too Easy.
Yes. And yes, Tubby, I did watch like one match. I remember there was like a TF top or something. Um, but overall, Nightmare just a very good player. I was surprised that he was like pretty underrated going into this because the few games I got to play with him in the other draft league, he was really, really good. So I would say this team just a very solid team overall. I don't think, like Too Easy said, there isn't really a clear standout in the same way that some of these other teams do, other than like I would say Nightmare.
Mhm.
But the team is just really good overall. So they have the fourth spot for a reason. They're definitely going to show up, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And one last thing before we move on is most of these the top three players, Nightmare, Pyrosis, and Tubby, they're all playing off role this season. Pyrosis was a mid laner, Nightmare was an ADC, and Tubby was a support, and now they're all playing different roles and they're all playing extremely well. So I'll give gotta give props to them for executing very well. But let's move on to our next team, Asterius Kins, Pool A, seed number 3. Asteria and Array, the crazy man bot lane. I mean, having some crazy picks. The LeBlanc for Array popping off. Asteria had one game where he played Zaya and went 9-0. Next up, Mathith Peneth, the 170 ping monster, all the way in like Sweden or something like that, or the UK. I can't remember exactly where he originally is from. And then finally, just a Goo and Sparks, just holding it down in the solo lands. To be honest, I don't have a whole lot for this team. I honestly think it's just decision making. They do have some really good moments in their games, but otherwise, I think it's just like poor plays and communicating well. But otherwise, I don't have a whole lot for this team. Let's start with you. Never saw.
Unfortunately, I don't really have too much to say on this team either myself. I think I played against Sparks last season when he subbed in for Too Easy when he was on his little vacation. Um, but overall, just like seems a solid team. I'd say the biggest thing with this team is with the bot lane. I don't really know much about Asteria other than they've been hyped up a lot and generally seem to be performing pretty well. But the bigger one is with Array and all right, here's a possible hot take. Let's do this here.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
Basically, I don't really know why Array was picked so early as like an off-role support. And I think that's probably hindered them
Whoa.
some. Admittedly,
Whoa.
I saw their games mostly from the early season. I haven't seen like the LeBlanc support that was mentioned or any stuff like that. But when I saw like Array as support and their first series win awry, I'm like, I wasn't surprised. So
Okay. Okay. I like that hot take. Too easy. You gonna
Uh,
one up that?
Probably not. But I think I think that this team, they're kind of just what you'd expect for the most part. Besides a goo, just like way better than at least I was expecting. The guy's been
Mhm.
kind of smurfing all season. Pretty much every top laner who isn't like actively master tier plus, he's just kind of shitting on. And then after that, it's kind of just, I hate to say it, but it's just the array show. If he shows up and has a good day, the sky's the limit for them.
Mhm.
Uh, then yeah, like I don't think much else really matters comparatively. Uh, yeah, ban the meatball though. Fuck that.
All right.
You
I
know.
like that. Um, so with that, let's move on to our next team, PTS. I'm gonna get it right every time. I'm taking my time so I don't say it. Pool B, Seed 3. Um, you know, best top laner on this team, Sprinkler, can carry this team. Really good plays. Played the Shen. Has played this. Played the Shen. Played the Kennen. Had a really good Kennen game. Um, them and Shawarma having a very impressive games together. You know, showing up, executing extremely well. Them last week got MVP, and that was because of Shawarma's assistance. And then finally, how will Galler shape up in playoffs? Because he's had good games, but he's also had games where they struggle. And the other thing we need to talk about is who's their jungler going to be. I know they are considering two different people. I don't know who yet, but we'll see who they're deciding to go with. So we'll see how that goes. Mituizi, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that this team kind of just lives and dies by Sprinkler. He's just really, really, really good. He kind of had an off series against us, but every other series he's just
Mhm.
been an absolute force to be reckoned with. Where he can just completely 1v9 the game. Yeah, I mean that's all I really think about with
Yeah.
that team. Hopefully they get a good sub though.
Yeah, for sure. Never saw your thoughts on PTS.
This team definitely one of my more favorite teams, just from like the players alone. I mean, Thim was one of my favorites, I think, from last season, and I think I really only had Thim below like Tycho and Array for me. Just a
Mhm.
very good player overall. I don't know much about. Is it a sexy shawarma? I believe correctly.
Yeah, it's sexy shawarma.
I don't really know much about them, so unfortunately, I can't really comment on this.
I think they're a
The other
tier
two,
5. No, tier 4 player. Tier 4 player.
gotcha.
Tier
The
5.
other two
Oh no, sorry,
players,
tier 5. Yes, you're right. Tier 5. Sorry.
um, what is it? The other two players, Sprinkler, I become a fan, or became a fan rather, after their Kraken Shen game, if I remember correctly. I think Sprinkler was the one who did that, right?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Cool.
Did it twice actually. Did in like
Twice. Oh,
the
even
first
better.
series, and then did it week 4. So
Absolute goat. I love building items like that and just being like, I know my builds and I'm gonna do this. I'm the carry now. And as for the mid lane though, Gar was my manager last season. Absolute goat, dealt with all the shenanigans that were playing with me. Um, and just overall, it seems to be performing solidly in the mid lane. I know he really, really, really did not want to get locked in jungle again like last season.
yep.
So I'm happy to see he's doing pretty well overall. Just solid stuff, and I do hope they figure out whatever they're doing with the jungler because that is definitely unfortunate to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. Um yeah, I have
Oh,
high hope.
what? Sorry,
Oh.
Gar in the chat. What, bruh? It's just doing me and Heiko dirty like that. What the heck?
But yeah, I honestly have high hopes for this team. They are playing Dognatos, so we'll see how they shape up against Dognatos. I'm interested to see their matchup.
That should be a
Um,
great match, yeah.
yeah, I hope
Sure.
I can't remember if it's 5 games. I believe it's 5 best of 5, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm excited to see how that series shapes up. Moving on to our next team, Ganking Private Ryan, Pool A, seed number 4. Neversaw's team. Neversaw, she she can carry pretty much her team to playoffs, in my opinion. As long as she has really good games and is executing well, she can carry your team to finals. I firmly believe that. PvP, this guy's trash. Okay. I'm sorry. The production said he was gonna end the stream. I'm sorry. PvP, he's a really good player. He's just making plays around the map and making stuff happen for a team, getting leads and everything like that. So please don't end the stream, production. Thank you. Moving on, Ryan, amazing team player. Playing the Galio, playing the Talia. I'm more impressed with the Galio pick. I didn't think Galio was going to be one of his champions this season, and yet he's performing extremely well in it. So I will give props to that. And then finally, Brissy, Solo Bolo King. I'm really happy with him because he's updated his champion pool to have a little bit more of the bruisers. He has played a couple of those tanks though still this season, but I'm happy to see that he is expanding his champion pool to the Jax and Xante as well. And then Vossler, all I have is Cat. Yuumi. That's all I got.
That would be correct, yes.
Before we hear from Neversaw's thoughts on their team, Too Easy. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, our match against these guys was pretty epic. Gave us 2 absolute banger games. Brissy just kind of holds it down the top lane. You know, he's always fun to watch. Little weak side gamer. Ryan, he's kind of like struggling to find his footing, at least from what I've seen in the games. But like he's a good player, and he should be able to get back into it. He's kind of like a scaling pick. PPP, I think is a great player. I think his jungle, yikes. But great player though. Really good teammate to have. And then their bot lane just a bit coin flip for my liking, but when it hits heads, it's like pretty crazy.
Okay, Neversaw. What's your rebuttal?
All right, well, let me start from the top here. My last season was with Brissy, and he was just a solid rock in the top lane the whole way through. He's got a couple extra picks in his arsenal this time around. Oh, geez, 1 second. I love my throat just exploding on me. But yeah, Brissy just go in the top lane, absolute like Giga Chad of tier 5. Is he tier 4? Is he tier 4 or tier 5? Somebody
Who?
correct me on that. Brissy.
Tier 5.
Tier 5. Okay, I
He's
didn't get that wrong.
he's not an emerald player, so he's currently a tier 5.
Still my goat. It was really fun to play with him last season. Still fun to play with him this season. Noah in the jungle, the triple P himself. I would say overall, I've been like pleasantly surprised by what he's been doing and just really like solid gameplay overall. It's been a couple hiccups. We don't talk about the blind monk incident. I think overall it's been really good. And at the end of the day, I mean, with that one, I was the one who gave the go ahead to go for the Lee Sin. So
Oh, so it's your fault, not PPP's fault.
It is. Yeah.
Okay,
Some
got it. Hey,
distributed blame.
PvP, best Lee Sin ever. I swear. I swear.
Wasn't terrible, to be honest, and then it was questionable. It was good, and then it wasn't. So, but it's all right. I trust in PPP for whatever he cooks up. So
Yeah.
Ryan, actually, I have really liked Ryan since last season. Just like playing against him and talking with him and subbing in for the Roblins Goblins team as their fill-in top laner and getting to play with them a bunch. I think like the one thing I'd say with Ryan, he has been usually a lot more focused on trying to be a more supporting figure. But if you look at the games when he's played like that Yasuo game he played against Dognatas, he almost has carried us despite my ass like feeding 0-6 on the Smolder. That guy's Yasuo is going crazy, and I'm like, Ryan, be the carry. I believe in you. You're tier 2. Like I trust in you to do your like thing, you know? And so I have nothing but really good things to say about Ryan for the most part, and just be confident you got the carry prowess. And for my support, Cat.
Cat. That's all I
I
got.
I really like my support. I like my support a lot. It's very interesting playing with a Yuumi as an ADC player. But overall, like I just tell him like, pick what your heart desires. I'll work with it. Like we'll do this thing. So, and
All right. Yeah.
probably the last thing would just be about myself because Too Easy touched on this, but I am often a very coin flippy player. There's a reason why what was it? GKC last season with me and Heiko was sometimes a little flippy with the games because we had 2 of probably the most psychopathic players on the team as your like star carries, and poor Gar was losing his mind trying to deal with that. But if the coin does land heads, or if I can actually, stop coin flipping as much, it's just really consistent stuff. So.
Yeah. And yeah, with that, we'll move on to our finally fourth place seed, Ship Without a Captain, Pool B, Seed 4. Um, this team, I think it's deserved to where they're at right now. I think seventh is a pretty good spot for them. Borla and Fleas, showing up in the bot lane for multiple games. Um, Karsbuta and Killswitch, having a really good time. I'm really interested to see how Karsbuta, the second highest ranked player um, in the top lane, will show up in the playoffs because he has showed up in a couple games, but hopefully he can continue to do that. Killswitch, love the guy. I hope he can continue to play well. He's had a lot of really good carry games, but unfortunately, with his team just being so far behind, he wasn't able to carry. But he's had some really good and impressive games. And then finally, just World Soup. Honestly, he's still one of the best, lower tiered players on in this season. So I got to just give props to him because he's playing phenomenally, even against some of these higher tiered, higher ranked players. Sorry. Um, that's all I got. Never saw. Let's hear your thoughts.
This is also one of the teams that we did get to play against. I think there was like a cross group thing or something.
Yep.
But Borwa and Fleas, I believe, is
Yep.
that you say? Cool. Borwa and Fleas, like really strong bot lane. Borwa actually got to play with support with me, fill in for one of our GPR like scrim things or flex queues, whatever it was. And he was just like pretty good on support already. And I was watching some of his ADC, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's pretty good.
Hmm.
And definitely made me. I think that was the series where I picked Kaisa blind. I could be wrong. I don't know if I remember correctly. Well, either way, that was definitely a rough series to start with. Fleas breaking out the Leona out of nowhere. Um, and it was rough for me. So like I have respect for the spot lane. They're definitely one of the stronger duos out there.
Hmm.
So keep your eyes out for them. World Soup, the one mid laner who gets to have the crown of absolutely throttling both me and Too Easy in the same season. Um, so you already know that's a goated player for their tier when they're able to beat out both of the top tier mid laners in that season. Um, Definitely just a very like all you could ask for and more for your tier 5. And
Hmm.
on their top side, Killswitch, very good last season when he filled in for the academy for a little bit. So overall, I think just a solid player. Went kind of crazy with the Graves, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
Um, Cresbudo, I don't really know too much about. I've been I would say a little underwhelmed by what I saw, especially because I believe he's one of our tier 1 top laners.
Yep.
Um, so overall, though, I think there's moments where he has been pretty good, and so there's a lot of potential with this team. I think is the big point. So if
Hmm.
they get their footing together on the same page, the carries show up, it's gonna be good.
For sure. And Too Easy. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I like this team quite a bit. I'm gonna like any team with Killswitch on it though, right? He's my boy. Um, but yeah, like they have Krasbuto, and I don't think he's like naturally a carry player, but he's kind
No,
of trying to
I
be a
think
bit of a
he's more
carry.
of a he's a tank player more.
Yeah, he's kind of operating as like a secondary or tertiary carry for the team, so that's chill. Killswitch is kind of trying to hold them all together. World Soup is just trying to be a bit of a supportive mid. He's had like a couple stinker games, but generally he's been pretty fine. And then Borland Fleas, yeah, they've been looking pretty good all season.
Mhm.
I don't think they've had any like really bad games. They've had a couple like underwhelming games though, but like generally they're like outperforming the other bot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really liked Fleas this season. I like her bringing out more different picks, like the Leona. She's even played the Nautilus. because traditionally we've seen her play like Lux, Nami, or just enchanters in general. So I'm happy that she's playing, these different types of styles, the Nautilus and the Leona, these tank engage players or champions. So good for her. But let's move on to our next team, which is probably going to be short. Code Cryptid, Pool A, Team 5. My notes are literally, this team is doomed. That is it. I don't. How do I say this in the nicest way? I think Code Cryptid. I just think they did not draft the correct players on the team. I think this is a personality problem. That is it. I love my boy Guanabon. But he's having a rough season. So I'm gonna send it over to Neversaw.
I'm gonna be honest. This is the one team where, until you mention his name, if you asked me before you mentioned Gwenabon, like, who is on Code Cryptid, I genuinely don't remember. I'd be completely serious. I genuinely do not remember who was on that team, and
Yeah.
like I think that speaks enough to what's going on with that team that it's just rough. Like there isn't really any like noticeable upside. Gwenabon is like trying their best, but it's just like I don't know. I mean, your notes basically sum it up. This team feels doomed. I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to break out to make something happen, but miracles could happen.
Yeah, and in the past Climb episodes, we have talked about a couple different ways that they can definitely change and possibly improve them, and that's have Peach Tea Princess or whatever her new name is. I can't remember. Anchory Bunny, is that correct? Oh, Bakery Bunny. Thank you, production. Is go into a side lane like top lane, but I don't really know how that team dynamic is going to change. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm not going to say anymore. Too easy. Your thoughts on this team?
Well, I'm versing them this Friday, so that should be pretty fun and interesting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Great games all around. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, man. I think that these guys literally have the bottom, like, without any doubt, every single player they have is bottom 2 in their tier. Just pretty much like no redeeming factor.
I think honestly, we should leave it at that. We're just gonna keep bullying Code Cryptid, and I really don't want to do that. So let's move on to our final team, Feeders Anonymous. I don't have a lot to say about this team either. Honestly, I think if they have a little bit of a better team fight game, they might it'll come down to skill. Honestly, I think David's been having a really good season, just really bad games or performances by the rest of his team. I can't remember anyone else on their team. Oh yeah, Dart Juice, kind of an underwhelming jungler pick. But I mean, he's still sometimes shows up and performs well. Flash of Naya, honestly, I just think he's been. I don't know if it's like he's rusty or something like that, but it seems like he hasn't really played as much as or he's not playing to the skill level as we saw from last season. So unfortunately, we're not able to see a whole lot of him. I'm being told to spice it up. Feeders Anonymous, you guys suck, all right? I'll just say it plain out. You guys suck, all right? You guys are not a team. You guys are 5 random people that show up to games every week and play a game. The only redeeming factor is David's when he plays carry champions, he shows up and performs well. Kalista, like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you're picking these random clicks and it just isn't working, brother. You gotta be a leader. You are the team captain. So All right, I'm gonna stop because I don't want to get overly flamed and trash talk. Oh, I'm canceled. Sorry. So this is the last episode of the climb, guys. Sorry for everything. All right, no. Let's pass it over to mid to easy.
Yeah, like Speeders Anonymous, I like pretty much all their players for the most part, right? Like, I don't think anyone is too bad on their team. I think Dart Juice for like a tier 5 jungler, especially on a struggling team, I thought that guy has been performing almost every game. Like, props to him, man. Uh, I don't think they would be like a contender for the championship. But it really doesn't make sense how just downright terrible this team is with these players. Like it's got to be like a communication issue, or they're literally just like, all right, guys, let's fucking speed run this shit. Let's fucking win or lose 20 minutes or something. I don't get it. Like they should be picking up more wins than they've currently got.
Mm,
But good on Dart Juice though. He's been performing for a tier 5.
yeah, for sure. And never saw your thoughts.
This is the other team where I really don't remember who's on it either. Although at least in this case, I haven't played against them. Although we are playing against them now, so maybe I should be more informed on who I'm playing against. I do remember Flash Knight from last season was hyped up a lot and generally had solid performances, especially for like one of the lower tier players still doing pretty well. But I haven't really seen anything similar
Mm.
this season, so it's just kind of unfortunate in that regard. Who's their tier 1 player on their team?
DV4P
Oh, DV4P.
is their
That's a
top laner.
player unfortunately I know nothing about. Um and this is honestly also a harder season to be a tier 1 top laner in my eyes, because you have like 3 of them running around and then you throw Briz into the equation. Um I don't know if there's any other like high tier top laners, but it's a lot harder when that is like your big point. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it just there isn't really anything that I really know about them, and
Mhm.
we'll see if they show up. They could absolutely just suddenly show up and take us out of playoffs, and that would be one
That'd be
of that's
nice.
a comeback.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, something to note about Pool B's top side. It's all pretty much tier ones or tier twos, and or yeah, no, actually, it's all tier ones. It's actually all tier ones, surprisingly. And KipKat, that's it. It's all tier ones. Actually, I think Karsbuto might be.
No, Crespito is tier 1.
Oh yeah, he is a tier one. Yeah, so yeah, everyone in Pool B is a tier one besides KipKat, which is a tier 5. And KipKat is the one player who's first seed in Pool B. So who really wants a tier 1 top laner? Um but yeah, with that wraps up everything, but we have one last thing to go over, and that is predictions for round 1. So CC versus SWC, everyone went with Ship Without a Captain. Not a really big surprise. I mean, unless for some reason Code Cryptid finds some magical potion that just increases their power or brain power or something. I don't know. I just don't think they got a chance. I think this is probably going to be a 3-0. If I think it's best of 5, right? Production. Okay, thank you. Production is just confirmed. It's all best of 5. So yeah, I think this is going to be a 3-0. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
think Yeah, I think 3 is probably fair. Definitely not going to 5 games though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd agree
Yep.
with that. I don't think there's really too much to say. We already talked about these teams, and one of them has upsides, the other doesn't feel like they do. So just by that logic, not really sure what else the result's gonna be.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair. And then finally, Ganking Private Ryan versus Feeders Anonymous, and I would say it's kind of a very similar situation. I think this game is going to be actually a little bit closer, though. I think it's going to be 3-1 Genking Private Ryan. I think Feeders Anonymous, after maybe game one, maybe two, they'll figure out something and then they'll win a game. But then Genking Private Ryan is just going to come back and just clean it up finally. So I think this game is going to be a little bit closer. I think it's going to be like 3-1 is my prediction.
I think GPR is like super inconsistent. I think it's gonna go 5 games.
Ooh, okay. Hot take. I like that. 5 games. Okay, I like that. Never saw.
I would say
you going to 5 games or you going to 3 or 4?
I think it's gonna be 3.
Ooh.
I think for sure. And all I'll say is there's some spicy picks I have planned for this, and the team we got some spicy picks incoming. So all I'll say is keep your eyes on this playoffs match.
Okay. I like that take. And yeah, with that, everyone, thank you all for coming by to the live broadcast of the Climb special episode before we head into playoffs next week. Super excited. Thank you, Too Easy and Neversaw, for joining me this week on the Climb. It was an epic one, probably the best episode yet. That's not a hot take, unless we'll see. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.